Mr. Bennett continues, if one cannot arrange that an income of 24 hours shall exactly cover all proper items of expenditure, one does muddle one's whole life indefinitely. We shall never have any more time. We have, and we have always had, all the time there is. Isn't that well said? Let's consider some approaches to managing our time most effectively. The first approach is to ignore the subject altogether. The man says, I've been late all my life. I can't ever seem to get a handle on my time. Heck with it. I'll just struggle along the best I can. That's okay. It's your life, right? You can do with it as you please. But consider what this attitude might be costing you. Here's the second approach. Step down to something easier. Again, that's okay too. A man works for a company, then decides he wants to own one. When he gets that responsibility, comes to work before everyone else, leaves after everyone else, he now says, I would rather work for someone else's company. Hey, again, it's your life. Success is not a stereotype. There isn't just one model. Know clearly what success means to you and be comfortable with the price you pay for it. You might have heard the story of the little girl who complained to her mother that her daddy never had time to play with her. She said, why doesn't my daddy play with me? He comes home from work, goes to the study and work, comes out for dinner, goes back to work again. I want to play with my daddy. So her mother explained to her, your daddy is very busy. He loves you very much, and that is why he works so hard. At his office, he has so much work to do that he has to bring the rest of it home and finish it here. That is why he can't play with you. The little girl thought for a moment, trying to solve this problem, and came up with the answer. She said, well, why don't they just put him in a slower group? Hey, not a bad idea. Don't throw away other important values in your life just going for one. I went for some things in my life and found out later I had paid too much. If I had known how much they were going to cost, I never would have paid. So that is a consideration. The next approach to time management is to work longer and harder. And we all know the dangers there, right? Unless you aren't working at all, then you probably need to work longer and harder. But for some people, if 10 hours won't do it in a day, they work 12. And if 12 won't do, they move it up to 14. Some people even take on 2 jobs. And there are some very real dangers here, not least of which is health problems that result from not being able to handle the stress. So you've got to be careful with this approach. The last approach I think is the best, and that is to get more out of you. In the time you have assigned to labor, make the hours more valuable. The key is not to work harder, but to work smarter. If you're putting in about 8 or 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, that's about it. You can't work much harder. But remember, it's not the hours you put in that count. It's what you put in the hours. Get more from you to make the investment of time more valuable. And no telling how valuable you can become. We don't lack the capacity. We only lack the ideas and the will and the discipline to carry them out. In considering the subject of time management, remember that a big part of the key for changing is to take it in small steps. Most of us don't make revolutionary changes. We change a few degrees at a time. When you get some life momentum rolling, it's not that easy to make all the changes all at once. Hey, you can't whip a U-turn with the Queen Elizabeth II. When that big ship gets moving, they say it takes 7 miles just to get it stopped. So when it's really moving, you just have to nudge it a little, and finally you get it turned. That's a lot like our lives. A few nudges at a time.
How many of you know that it's hard building a thriving residual income on a monthly basis? Raise your hands. Yeah. That's why most people won't say yeah. It's much easier to complain about the economy. It's much easier to complain about our elected officials. It's much easier to talk about the recession. That's much easier to come up with excuses why you can't do it. That's where I was. That's where I set up station for a long time. My mentor said something to me, Mike, wait, I want you to write this down. He said, anybody can complain. He said, if you do what is easy, that's complaining. If you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. Come on, that's strong medicine. If you do what is easy, complain about your situation, your circumstances. If you do what is easy, stand around and be a volunteer victim like everybody else. If you do what is easy, surrender and give up on your dreams. Become depressed and bitter and angry. Anybody can do that. If you do what is easy, your life be hard. But if you do what is hard, keep coming back again and again and again. If you do what is hard, approaching strangers, talking to people in shopping malls, get up dressed every day, going out prospecting, knowing some way, somehow, with a spirit of expectation, somebody's out here looking for an opportunity. You can go outside right now and see some pigeons, but you're out hunting for eagles. and they're not common. And if you do that over and over and over again, somebody's going to show up. Somebody's going to say, I'm the one. Dr. Thurman, I love him so. What a great. He said there's something in each and every one of them that waits and listens to the voice of the genuine in yourself. It will be perhaps the only guide you will ever have. And if you cannot hear it, all of your life, your days will be spent on the ends of string that somebody else pulls. And I submit to you, you invest time and money, go to the airport, fly across country. I suggest to you, some of you drove here, I suggest you showed up because you said, I'm going to pull my own strings. I'm going to control my own life. Nobody will ever pull my strings again. Give yourselves a round of applause. I want you to write this down. Choosing your future. It's a program that we've created that's designed to put in place for you to work on yourself. A systematic process that changes your mindset. It's possible, it's necessary, it's you, it's hard, it's worth it, it's done. It's 6 CDs.
I'm tired, y'all. I'm tired of shortcasting. I'm tired of 15-year-olds being killed in drive-by shootings. I'm tired of 3-year-olds getting shot through a door in our own house plan because we won't talk about life. Somebody has got to have the courage to talk about life, that it's not just a straight line and everything that just fall into place. And Peter, the great apostle of the New Testament, is warming himself by the fire of the Romans, denying Jesus, and not just saying I'm not his disciple. He said, I don't even know him. It's a shame, but it's true. And what of Thomas? Thomas, who said, we must go and die with him. Where is he? Where is Thomas? Not in the upper room later when Jesus rose from the dead. Where is he at the cross? Because when Jesus left for Jerusalem, Thomas said, look it up, I must go and die with him. But when that dying got real, a lot of people say a lot of stuff until it gets real, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, to richer and for poor, till you pee on yourself. When it gets worse, don't be so carried away about what people say, because Thomas, who was ready to die for him, turns up MIA at the cross. I see John, I see Mary, I see the Roman soldiers. Where is Thomas at the cross? No wonder he doesn't show up in the upper room. Shame. No wonder he is not gathering with the rest of the disciples, because they heard him say, I will die with him. And they know he has shrinking to the bushes and ran down the path and went over the hill and swam across the creek to get away from death. And what about Judas and his infamous betrayal of Jesus? I was reading a non-canonical book called The Gospel of Judas that has been discovered in the antiquities of history. And in it purports the ideology that Judas really wasn't trying to betray Jesus. He was trying to put Jesus in a situation where he would have to overthrow Rome so that the kingdom could come. And he thought that if he got Jesus in an open confrontation with Rome, that Jesus would show his power and rise to power, and he would finally take on politics and stop healing sick people. Because I'm tired of you healing sick people. That's not why I'm following you. I'm following you because I want political power. And the trick blew up in his face, and he didn't know they were going to kill him. If he knew they were going to kill him, then why did he hang himself? He hung himself because he got caught in his own web, and it cost somebody their life. And some of us have made decisions that cost other people their lives and their careers and their futures. And it's hard to live when you got the masterful plot and the plot goes wrong. Can I go deeper? I want to submit, just for your curiosity, it could be possible that had Judas not hung himself, he could have got the same. He could have come and fallen on his knees and said, forgive me. And I know you don't believe it, but I will defend it. If Jesus could be dying on the cross and say, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do, while they nailed him to the tree, then surely
It was wisely said so long ago, but is still true for today. There are many treasures, but the greatest of these is love. Better to live in a tent on the beach and have a love affair than to live in a mansion by yourself. Ask me. I know. Family must be cultivated like an enterprise, like a garden. Time and effort and imagination, creativity and genius must be summoned constantly to keep it flourishing and growing. Next is friendship, a priceless value, friendship. Friends are those incredible people who know all about you and still like you. Friends are those people who are coming in when everyone else is leaving. And, as someone once suggested, be sure to make the kind of friends on your way up who will take you in on your way down. Life is a bit of both up and down. But with true friends, friends who care regardless of your circumstances, the ups are more automatic and the downs less devastating. Traveling around the world, I have made some unique friends. I've also got some strange friends. One of them is a thief. He steals, but you'd love him. He's really a neat guy, but he really does steal. Now, he's not a big thief. He's just a little thief, but he is a thief. Once in a while, someone reminds me, your friend steals. I say, I know. What can I do? I talk to him about it. He's just my thieving friend. I do have one very special friend, though. If I was stuck in a Mexican jail and accused unduly, I would call this friend. Guess why I'd call this friend? He would come and get me. Now that is a friend. Someone who would come and get you. Guess how much you would spend to get me? Right, as much as it would take. Guess how long you would try to get me out? You're right, as long as it would take. That is a friend. Someone who would come and get you. Now, I also have some casual friends who would probably say, call me when you get back. I guess we all have some of those friends. But friendship is so vitally important to those in search of the good life. Make sure your friendships get the attention and the effort they deserve. Properly nourished, they will give back to you that priceless treasure of both pleasure and satisfaction called the good life. And remember, the good life is not an amount. The good life is an attitude, an act, an idea, a discovery, a search. The good life comes from lifestyle that is fully developed, regardless of your bank account, so that it provides you with a constant sense of joy in living and fuels the fires of commitment to all of the disciplines and fundamentals that make life worthwhile. What is wealth without character? Industry without art? Quantity without quality? Enterprise without satisfaction? Possessions without joy? Become a person of culture to add to the whole culture, for we are most certainly a product of all the values of our community and country. Become that person of unusual substance that brings an added measure of genius to the whole, so that our children and the children of many will be the beneficiaries of the treasure. There are three major parts to life change. First is knowledge, second is emotion, and third is action. When all three come together in a unique way, we call that the day that turns your life around. Hopefully, from all that you have heard in this album, it has added to your knowledge, a blend of your experience, the experience of others, and now my experience. I hope I have brought you some wealth of knowledge.
See, another guy was ex-offender. I was telling him I had a job for him. What kind is it? What do you care? Making an honest living, not worried about somebody knocking on your door in the middle of the night. If it's cleaning toilets, you ought to be happy. See, he's a taker, ladies and gentlemen. He thinks that somebody's just going to come give him something out here in life. It doesn't happen that way. No, it doesn't happen that way. Here's something else you're going to discover in giving. Something that's very important. Give thanks. Giving thanks creates power. Give thanks for your house. Give thanks for your apartment, for your car, for your family, for your health, for your relationships, for what you have. When we focus on something, it expands. When you're giving thanks, when you're showing a spirit of gratitude for what I got, not that you're satisfied with it, but you're grateful for what you got. Whatever you focus on, that's what you're going to continue to multiply and expand in your life. But if you focus on what you don't have, if all you can do is point out the negative things in your life, whatever you focus on, you're going to expand that. Some people, all they can do is complain. That's all they can do. They can't find anything to say good about life and about anybody else. Every time they open their mouths, that's what their minds are consumed with, and that's all they're producing in their lives. And these are people that you don't want to be around. Develop a spirit of gratitude. I'm thankful for life. I'm thankful to be an American. I'm thankful to be on this part of the planet. I'm thankful to see another day. No, things aren't what I want them to be. No, I don't have all the things I want to have. But I'm thankful that I'm still here. I have another opportunity, another day to live, another chance to contribute, another chance to make a difference in life. So begin to give thanks for what you have. Whatever you focus on, remember now, you want to become aligned with the universe. If you have scarcity in your life, it's because you have a consciousness of scarcity. As you begin to become thankful for what you have, for the abundance that you now know is coming your way, that you're attracting to you, for the good relationship that is coming your way right now, it will begin to create incredible opportunities for you to begin to improve your life and the quality of life of people around you. Giving is also, ladies and gentlemen, forgiving. Give forgiveness. Many of us do not realize that we cannot grow, that we are blocking ourselves, we are blocking our good in the universe. We're literally standing in the way of the flow of what life has to us because we haven't learned how to forgive. We haven't learned how to let things go so we can get on with our lives. When we forgive, ladies and gentlemen, it's not for the other person. Oh no, it's for you. It's not for them, not because they deserved it or they earned it. You're forgiving other people. First of all, you've got to forgive yourself. But when you forgive other people, it is mentally and spiritually healthy to forgive. To let that luggage go, as Paul said, forgetting those things which are behind, reaching forward to those things which are before. Oh, we hear it, but it's hard to do. It's hard. What you have is enough. Whatever you have to give. And the more you give, the more you realize you have to give. And we all have to. There are people who made the supreme sacrifice for us to enjoy freedoms that we take for granted. Oh, none of us can feel that we have nothing to give back. Next thing is, giving empowers you. It makes you more powerful.
We were closer than two peas in a tiny pod. She died before I could get over my mother-in-law. My mother died. And then my daughter came in the room and told me she was pregnant. And it was a season of weeping. Have you ever gone through a season of weeping? That before you could get out of this, here comes something else, and your heart is overwhelmed, and you smile in front of people as best you can, but you go home. Please let me go home so I can go back to being real, because I'm tired of faking the smile. And I only told you I was doing okay because I knew it wasn't nothing you could do about it anyway, and let me go back to my weeping. And we wept. When we left off last week, the children of Israel were in a season of weeping and bleeding and suffering. And they'd hung their harps by the willow trees, and they wept. They asked them to sing. How can you sing the Lord's song in a strange land? And people honestly want you to perform like you haven't been through what you've been through. But there is a degree of pain that comes so strong that you have to shut down everything. There is some discomforts you can still function through, but there is a level of sorrow that is so grotesque and so obvious and so profound and so demonstrative that it will shut you down. How can we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? They hung their harps by the willow trees, and all we could hear was nothing but weeping. There is a cry that engulfs the soul, that wounds the spirit, that takes you to a place where you wonder, will I ever? Y'all don't know what I'm talking about. I wish I could talk to somebody who was real with me, because I get sick of church folks sometimes. Sometimes they'll catch you in your grief and in your season of pain, and they're in their season of progress, and they'll look at a child. If you just believe God, everything will be all right. If you just walk in faith and claim, shut up! You're in spring, I'm in the winter, shut up!
Some people say, if I was as smart as you are, make sure you make the correction in thinking to say, if I had developed as much of my smart as you have. That's it. We're all smart enough. We just have to develop that smart into a plan. Hopefully this program will help. There it is, how to think on paper. Never underestimate the power of influence. What an important statement. The influence of those around us is so powerful. Many times we don't even realize we're being strongly influenced because it generally develops over an extended period of time. Peer pressure is an especially powerful form of influence because it is so subtle. If you're around people who spend all they make, chances are excellent that you'll spend all you make. If you're around people who go to more ball games than concerts, chances are excellent that you'll do the same. If you're around people who don't read many books, chances are excellent you won't read many books. People around us can keep nudging us off course a little at a time until finally, 10 years from now, we find ourselves asking, how did I get here? Those subtle influences need to be studied carefully if we really want our lives to turn out the way we've planned. Now, on this major point, let me give you 3 key questions to ask. This may help you to make a better analysis of your current association. Here is the first question. Who am I around? Good question. Make a mental study of the major people with whom you most often associate. You've got to evaluate everybody who is within the circle of being able to influence you. So, major question, who am I around? Next question, what are they doing to me? That's a major question to ask. What have they got me doing? What have they got me listening to? What have they got me reading? Where have they got me going? What have they got me thinking? How have they got me talking? And how have they got me feeling? What have they got me saying? You've just got to make a serious study of how others are influencing you, both negatively and positively. Now, maybe the influence of all those around you is okay, but just ask yourself. It doesn't hurt to ask, who am I around and what are they doing to me? Now, here's the final question. Is that okay? Maybe the people you associate with and their collective influence is okay, but then again, maybe it's not. All I'm suggesting here is that you take a close and objective look. Everything is worth a second look, especially the power of influence. Positive influence can have an incredible effect on your life, but so can negative influence. Both will take you somewhere, but only one will take you in the direction you truly wish to go. It's so easy just to dismiss the things that influence our lives. The man says, I live here, but I don't think it matters. I'm around these people, but I don't think it hurts. I would take another look at that. I've got a good phrase for you. Everything matters. Now, sure, some things matter more than others, but everything matters. Everything weighs something. So you've got to keep checking to find out whether associations are tipping the scales toward the positive or toward the negative. It doesn't hurt to look, right? Ignorance is never the best policy. Finding out is the best policy. Remember, part of the purpose of this program is to get us to say, the days of kidding myself are over. I really want to know what I have become and what I am becoming. I want to know where my strengths and my weaknesses lie. What has power over me? What's influencing me? What have I allowed to affect my life? Perhaps you've heard the story of the little bird. He had his wing over his eye and he was crying. The owl said to the little bird, "You're crying." "Yes," said the little bird, and he pulled his wing away from his eye. "Oh, I see," said the owl. "You're crying because the big bird pecked out your eye." And the little bird said, "No, I'm not crying because the big bird pecked out my eye. I'm crying because I let him." Hey, it's easy to let influences shape our lives, to let associations determine our direction, to let persuasions overwhelm us, to let tides take us, to let pressures make us. The big question is, are we letting ourselves become what we wish to become? In this most important subject of association, here are some actions you may want to take. First, disassociation. You may, after a study of those 3 questions, who am I around, what are they doing to me, and is that okay, you may come to the serious conclusion that there are some people you just have to break away from. I'm not saying that it's an easy step to take, and it's not to be taken lightly. However, I am saying it may be an essential task. You may just have to make that hard choice not to let certain negative influences affect you anymore. Remember, it could be a choice that saves the quality of your life.
My favorite book said, "The greatest among you will be your servant." So I became the errand boy I was serving them. I'd go get their lunch and their dinner, and I'd come into the control room watching them work control knobs and switches, knowing my time will come. Let us say together, my time come. When when I'll be a top producer, and when I'll come up on stage, they call my name because of my accomplishment, my time, because I'm going to put forth the effort. So on the weekends when the disc jockey come out to the parking lot, the cars will be clean, the inside out. He said, hey, who did this? I did, sir. How much do you charge, young man? Oh, nothing, sir. Just wanted to help out. Writes down. Build relations. Build relations. Give before you ask. People come into your business. Find some way to compliment. Talk to them. Ask them questions. Find out what's important to them. What's stressing them out. What keeps them up at night. What drives them. What they value. Don't advance with business. People do business. People they know, like, and trust. That's why you want to tell the story and ask key questions. You want to be strategic and experiential. Write this down. You have an energy signal. People are feeling you out. They're listening to you. They're watching you. And so he said, look, here are my car keys, young man. Diana Ross and the Supremes are coming in town. The Four Tops and the Temptation. I want you to pick them up at the airport and take them to the Fountain Blue Hotel on Miami Beach. It is my pleasure to serve you, sir. I would drive these entertainers all over Miami Beach in the disc jockey's big long Cadillac. I didn't have any driver's license, but I'll drive it like I had some. Then one day, it's a Saturday afternoon, a disc jockey by the name of Rockin' Roger was drinking while he was on the air. Rockin' Roger got so drunk, he could not complete the show. He began to stutter his words. He's about to fall off the chair. It's a Saturday afternoon, and I was the only one there, looking at him through the control room window, walking back and forth, young, ready, and hungry. I was saying, drink, rock, drink. Drink, rock. I'd have gone and get him some more if he'd asked me to. Then pretty soon the phone rang. It was the general manager. I said, hello? He said, young boy, this is Mr. Clyde. I said, I know. He said, Rock can't finish the program. I said, I know. He said, will you call one of the other DJs in? I said, yes, sir. I hung the phone up and said, now he must be thinking I'm crazy. I called my mama and my girlfriend, Cassandra. I said, y'all come out on the front porch, turn up the radio. I'm about to come on the air. I waited for about 20 minutes and I called him back. I said, Mr. Klein, I can't find nobody. He said, young boy, you know how to work the controls? I said, yes, sir. He said, go in there and segue the records, but don't you say nothing here. I said, yes, sir. I couldn't wait to get old Rock out of the way. I put on a fast record. I said, look out, this is me, LB Triple P. Les Brown, your platter playing papa. There were none before me and there will be none after me. Therefore, that makes me the one and only. Young and single and love to mingle. Certified, bona fide, duly qualified to bring you satisfaction and a whole lot of action. Look out, baby, I'm your love man. I was hungry. Give the old man a round of applause. I was hungry. I was hungry. I was hungry. You gotta be hungry. Shake someone's hand on your right and left and say, you gotta be hungry. Do that right now. Shake somebody else's hand. Say, you gotta be hungry. People that are hungry believe if you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life. People that are hungry believe what Zig said when he said, you give enough people what they want, they will give what you want. People that are hungry believe always strive to get on top in life because the bottom's overcrowded. People that are hungry are uncommon people. They are say yes to their dreams. They say yes to an opportunity where they can develop their entrepreneurial skills, where they can develop their mind and their leadership skills, where they can become versatile and flexible and create and build a business they can be proud of. People that are hungry have a vision of themselves when they leave here, leaving a legacy and not liabilities.
Concentrate on the important issues and remember your goals. Let me offer you a few examples of petty thinking versus big thinking.
First situation, working out expense accounts. The petty thinker will figure out ways to increase his income by chiseling or even cheating on expense accounts. The big thinker will figure out ways to increase his income by selling more merchandise and regard the expense account as just that, an expense account. On the idea of progress, the petty thinker believes in the status quo and in taking no chances. The big thinker believes in ideas, expansion, new challenges. On the matter of security, the petty thinker is preoccupied with security problems. The big thinker regards security as a natural companion of success and doesn't worry about it. The petty thinker magnifies minor errors and turns them into big issues. The big thinker ignores errors of little consequence and strives to learn from significant mistakes. So let's briefly sum up some of the tools for thinking big. Don't sell yourself short. Conquer the foe of self-deprecation. Concentrate on your assets. You're really a lot better than you think you are. Use the big thinker's vocabulary. Use big, bright, cheerful words. Use words that promise victory, hope, happiness, pleasure. Avoid words that create images of failure, defeat, and hopelessness. Stretch your vision. See what can be, not just what is. Practice adding value to things, to people, and especially to yourself. Get the big view of your job and of your life. Think, really believe that your present job is important and that you're important too. That next promotion depends mostly on how you think towards your present job. Finally, keep your mind above trivial things. Focus your attention on big objectives. Before getting involved in a petty matter, ask yourself, is it really important?
You've heard me use the word creative several times so far. I've made the point that thinking creatively is an important part of thinking big. But a lot of people are intimidated by that word creative. But they shouldn't be. Let me clear up a common fallacy about the meaning of creative thinking. Certain fields such as art and architecture and music and writing and science and a few others have been labeled creative. Now certainly, those fields do involve a lot of creativity, but creative thinking is not reserved for a few special occupations or a few special people. Well, then what is creative thinking? Let me give you some examples. When a low-income family devises a plan to send their children to college, believe me, that's creative thinking. When a neighborhood group turns the neighborhood's most undesirable lot into a beauty spot, that's creative thinking. When a minister develops a plan that doubles his Sunday attendance, he's simply applying creative thinking. Figuring out ways to simplify record keeping, coming up with a new use for a computer program, selling the impossible customer, keeping the kids occupied constructively. These are all examples of practical, everyday creative thinking. And they're just as creative as the architect's new bridge or the composer's new symphony. Creative thinking is simply finding new, better, improved ways of doing things. The rewards of all types of success, success at home, success at work, success in the community, all hinge on finding ways to do things better. Now, let's see what we can do to develop and strengthen our creative thinking ability.
The first step is to simply believe it can be done. Here again is that basic truth. To do anything, you must first believe in it. Believing something can be done sets the mind in motion to find ways to do it. To illustrate this, David Schwartz often asks groups in motivation and training sessions this question: do you feel that it's possible to eliminate jails in the next 25 years? Think about this question for a moment. Now, what's your reaction to the question? Did your mind begin searching for ways to accomplish the challenge that the question raises, to eliminate jails in 25 years? Or did you give it a few moments consideration and simply reject the possibility? If you're like most people, you probably did the latter, rejected the proposition altogether, and decided, no, it's simply not possible to eliminate jails in 25 years. In fact, most people immediately think of all the reasons we have to have jails: keeping the populace safe from criminals, keeping order on our streets, the fact that some criminals are incorrigible, and so forth. But the question is asked to make a point. For just a few moments, forget the reasons that we have to have jails, and just assume that we can eliminate jails in 25 years. Make the assumption. If this could be done, how would you propose we begin? What kinds of things could be done as alternatives? Pause for a moment and give that some thought. Did you have any ideas? If you did, you're not alone. David Schwartz has a list of 78 specific ideas that people have come up with in his seminars to begin the process of eliminating jails. Things like establishing youth centers to cut down on crime, conducting research to spot potential criminals before they commit a crime, working to eliminate poverty, educating law enforcement personnel in positive methods of reform. Now, the point of this, again, is not really to eliminate jails. The point is to illustrate that when you believe something is impossible, your mind goes to work for you to prove why it's impossible. But when you really believe that something can be done, your mind goes to work and helps you find ways to do it.
You, the one who thought you weren't going to make it, who thought you couldn't get up again, who thought it was over, who thought it was the worst day you've ever had, your track record for surviving bad days is 100%. So what would make you think that you won't survive the next bad day? Because God keeps getting you up over and over and over again. So when I fall, I just get up again. Man, he is really good at this. So I got labeled the hardest working man in Hollywood because of my father. My father was a coal miner. He was very poor. My father made $5 a day. He was a coal miner. He had 5 kids. My mother was a Sunday school teacher. My mother taught Sunday school. My mother never worked a day in her life. My father took care of my mother and all his kids. So my father taught me very young. He said, listen to me, son. They can out-sing you. They can outrun you. There were people who can out-jump you. There are people who will outdress you. There are some people who can out-talk you. There are some boys who can out-throw you. There are some people who can out-dash you. But don't you let no man living outwork you. Nobody can outwork me. I don't care who you are. It doesn't matter. I bet you can't. I bet you can't. You can't outwork me. You might be smarter than me, but you can't outwork me. You can't out-hustle me, not Steve Harvey. I'm a hustler, man. I'm a bad man. I'm a hustler for real. No one, I don't care how much money they got. I don't care what color they are. I don't care what their family name is. You cannot outwork me. I won't let you. If you stay up for 5 hours, I stay up for 6. If you go to bed at 11, I go to bed at midnight. If you get up at 6, I get up at 5. If you go to lunch for an hour, I go to lunch for 45 minutes. If you come to work early, I come in earlier than you. That's how I work. So my first TV show was Showtime at the Apollo. Now, I had been homeless when I got this TV show. I had been homeless for 3 years. I lived in a car, but I was telling jokes, and so I had some videotapes, and they saw it and they asked me to come and perform. I performed, I did well. They asked me to come again, I did well again. They offered me the job of hosting Showtime at the Apollo. They paid me. It was the most unbelievable feeling, because you look, I went from zero money to back then in 1992, I think I made about, for the 1992, I made about $22,000 a week. Now listen to me, in Hollywood, that's nothing. That's nothing. But for me, it was everything. You go from zero to $22,000, you gotta be kidding me. I thought I was rich. And to me, I was rich. And so that first check, I spent all of it. I didn't even try to save no money. I took it to the bank, I cashed it. I got $22,000 cash in my pocket. I was not leaving my money in the bank because I had been homeless so long, I needed my money in my pocket. I had $22,000 cash in my pocket.